Let's now start Lesson 2. The success of our casino's anti-money laundering effort sits squarely on your ability to identify suspicious behavior. Once described patron becomes a suspect. And in our industry, we have a very specific report that must be filled out called a Suspicious Activity Report by Casino and Card Club. Witness something suspicious? What happens next? How to fill out a SARC form. How to write a SARC narrative. SARC filing deadlines. Suspicious activity, which involves aggregated funds totaling $5,000 and above, you must initiate a SARC. Includes bribery, check fraud, embezzlement, false or conflicting IDs. So be alert and communicate with other departments often. And yes, you will learn the basics in this course, but also contact an employee exhibiting purpose or behavior that is out of the norm, misusing his or her employed position within our casino. And as for our patrons, have you witnessed a patron avoiding or preventing the filing of a CTRC? So if you see a pattern and or a threat of suspicious activity linked to a reportable transaction, initiate a SARC review. Based on his or her review, the supervisor will then determine if a report is to be filed. Remember, any employee can initiate a SARC. So now we're going to learn how to correctly fill out a SARC form. Here are some of the key things to remember. And final submission to federal agencies must be typed. Now let's pay attention to page 2 of the SARC form. And what are the things to remember? Every section must be. You want to start the narrative as to what transpired here, and remember only to include new information not previously recorded. A viable SARC and how to write a SARC narrative could be seen as a daunting task. But it isn't. In fact, it's actually pretty easy if you remember to arrange the narrative, and there's no better way of doing that than by first looking at a bad example. Jane Smith came up to a cashier and cashed out a large volume of chips. She proceeded to hold other quantities of chips. So what makes it a bad narrative? Well, the who lacks the patron's detailed relationship to the casino. The what does not include details of the chip amounts cashed out. The when dates are not by the casino. So now let's look at a good example. On June 27, 2003, Jane Smith. Now there are 7 main differences. Let's pause for a moment now for you to find them. 60 total calendar days if the suspect was not identified on the date of detection. Then the casino may extend the requirement an additional 30. Under the Safe Harbor rule, federal law provides that you, our casino, directors, officers, employees, and agents who report suspicious. What happens to your SARC report? First, let's take a look at the bigger picture. You first identify a suspect, then you initiate a SARC. Casino officials investigate and file the SARC with federal agencies when deemed appropriate. Then federal officials analyze SARC reports from multiple financial institutions to identify. Federal agents are then dispatched to apprehend the suspect that you originally identified. We've now come to the end of Lesson 2. Take the quiz now. Once finished, continue on with Lesson 3. Good luck.